Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is brought to you by fans for fans, and where the content is absolutely free. It's a bonus preview episode of the Gersnet Podcast tonight. I'm your host, Colin Armstrong. As I say every week, guys, with a sore throat every week. I've had this for ages. It's not just the pod that we have here at Gersnet. You know, we've got the website, there's a forum, articles, match previews, all that kind of thing. History archive on the website too, so get yourself on it. If you like what we're doing here, we'd actually put the word out there, social media. Let all your friends know what we're doing. We've got, I think it's over 4,000 subscribers we've got on the YouTube channel, so give us a wee subscribe to let everyone know what we're doing. I'm joined by Alex Anderson tonight. We hooked up outside Ibrox last night just prior to... it's over 5,000 subscribers we've got now. I've got Frankie in my ear telling me, sorry, I've undersold us there. I'm joined by Alex Anderson. You might have seen us last night. We hooked up outside Ibrox just to do a wee quick 10-minute vid prior to the Braga game. He had his wee Dorothy Perkins bag with him because I had a bit of a disaster. I forgot the tripod and all the stuff, so Eck had to rush out and get some supplements for us. I think that's probably the best way to put it. So how are you, Alex? Did you recover for last night? You enjoyed last night?
Yes, yeah. I knew you were going to mention the Dorothy Perkins thing. I knew you wouldn't be able to let it go, you know. But I think it's in a world of toxic masculinity. We saw the stuff going on at West Ham last night. I think it says something for the Rangers support that I can mince on into the Loudon for a quick pint with a Dorothy Perkins bag, and nobody says a thing. You know what I mean? Not a problem.
The Dorothy Perkins loyal. That's it. That's the new name of the supporters club.
I am what I am, and that's just the way it's going to go. I could try and say I grabbed a poly bag on the way out the house because I knew I was going to the shops, and it just so happened to be the first one I got was a Dorothy Perkins. But we all know that's a lie. We all know it's my favourite shop. You know, so that's it. I'm feeling just like everybody else. We tiny bit frustrated and really proud that I am just a wee tiny bit frustrated. I thought we were generally brilliant last night. We were saying in that wee pod we did before the game, this is a team that could have run all over the top of us. You know, if you could end up getting humiliated by this kind of team. And I would take a 1-goal defeat. And when the minute you say something like that, you know the 1-goal defeat isn't going to be you lose a goal in the first minute and then you dig in and you're great for the rest of the game. It's always going to be painful, but I'll take that every day, mate. Absolutely fantastic. How's yourself? You enjoying your bank holiday weekend?
I was working today, but I'm off on Monday, so yeah, looking forward to it. I was a tad rough this morning, though, I have to say. I ended up over at my neighbour's. He's got a wee sort of garden room thing with the tellies and the pool table and all that kind of thing. And he had a few mates over last night, so me and the boy went over there, and I got a bit out of it. So, yeah,
if you just stuck with Dorothy Perkins loyal, it'd be just talking about makeup and all that all night. It was nice and calm. You know? The
minute I left you, the night went downhill. So obviously we'll talk about last night and we'll look at. It seems strange, like playing Celtic on Sunday, and it doesn't feel like that. You know, for the first time ever, we'll come on and talk about it, but it feels like it's almost secondary. You know what I mean? The Celtic game, which is a really unusual position to be in. But we'll focus on last night. For now, I mean, as we were saying on that video last night, you know, the sort of brief, the ambition of the evening was to stay in the tie, you know, to still be in the tie when we go back to Ibrox next Thursday. And we've managed that. You know, I know it was a wee bit frustrating and how we managed that, and the goal came so late on. But, I mean, it is literally an identical situation to the Braga game, you know. 1-goal deficit. I mean, the only slight concern I have is I think they'll also open up a wee bit next week. You know, I think we frustrated them last night. But you would have to say, if the brief was stay in the tie, job done. We're still in the tie.
Aye, absolutely. I mean, technically speaking, for myself, it's I think for a lot of Rangers fans, it's a kind of slightly into bonus territory as well. Whereas my first thing was, as I say, I know this sounds terrible, maybe a bit unstaunch, but have to be realistic and looking at the money this team have got and the players they've got. You know, you look through their squad last night, even the subs they were making, they're bringing on French internationals, Portuguese internationals. The ridiculous amount of talent they've got. So my first priority was don't get humped, Rangers, because we're going to get tired. It's only natural. I've got no problems at all with how we approach the game, and really proud of us. But I didn't want anything happening that would allow the kind of the negativity that's maybe crept in, not just from outside sources who are just jealous that we've got this far, but from a few Rangers fans. We're going to talk about the league and what have you, but A few Rangers fans been saying this is an unsuccessful season. And we just want to be able to sit back and go, no, look, European semi-final. This is, at least, we've reached a European semi-final at least. How can you say it's an unsuccessful season to anybody who's got a problem with it? And I think if you'd get battered, it'd be harder to say that. So avoiding the hammering, that was the first goal. And that became kind of clear almost by half-time that we were only going to get hammered if we were going to lose. And then keeping us in the tie so we can, when Rangers come down that tunnel at Ibrox next Thursday, we're looking at history, and there's going to be a feeling that few of us, that aren't old enough to have been at the Bayern Munich game in 1972 will ever have experiences. We were saying last night, we played Fiorentina in the semi-final in 2008, but the first leg was at Ibrox.
Yeah.
Indeed, 0-0. It all had to be done away in Florence. And also, you were at the game, 92, 93, where technically, we could go through against CSK Moscow, depending on the result. In Bruges in the Champions League group, but this is just a straightforward. We've got it in our own hands to do it. 100% agree with you, mate. I think it's actually going to be harder, much harder than the Braga game. It's a much better team than Braga, and the way they play, they've only won one other game at home in Europe this season, and that was to a Man City team. Impressive, but Man City were already through in the Champions League group stages at that point. They tend to do the business on the road. Red Bull Leipzig, their knockout game, the first in the playoff, and we were beating Dortmund in the playoff round. They drew at home with Real Sociedad, and then they went over and they won 3-1 in San Sebastian. They get the bye against Spartak Moscow next round, and then who did they play? Like Atalanta, and they drew one each in Leipzig, and they won 2-0 in Bergamo. So we're still up against it, but. The pride I felt last night, once you got over the frustration of losing the goal, the pride I felt was absolutely immense, and just what a game we've got set up on Thursday night. I think that's all anybody could really have wanted. Yeah,
I mean, we were talking yesterday as well that someone was going to have to play out of positions, to cover the injury situation up front. They went with Joe Aribo. It seemed like a 4-3-3 come 5-3-2 when out of possession. There was definitely a back five there, and it seemed like it was just Kent and Wright that were sitting up, and Aribo was sitting that wee bit deeper. When we talk about the time, I know you're saying there that they tend to do more of their business on the road, but when you consider the talent and the resources, we stifled them, and as you say, after sort of 10-15 minutes, you kind of got the sense. This looks like it could be a good night here. McGregor wasn't really overly busy at all. They had 70% in possession, but very, very few sort of shots on target. So you would have to say a very disciplined performance for Rangers. They kept their shape, and Ryan Kent had that chance, and a couple of inches other way, we could have got the goal. I'd have to say it was another sort of, I don't want to say a Gio masterclass, but he's shown again that he knows how to handle these games. In terms of the tactics and formation and setup, he knows how to handle these games.
Absolutely. I thought it's another feather in the cap for Gio. Absolutely. I know we've got a few problems online and what have you, folk, and myself included last night, thinking, why are we going with Sakala through the middle? Later on in the game, but Aribo was knackered, what he was doing. And you saw with Tav, when Tav was screaming at Fashion Sakala later on, it was because it was on. It's because an opportunity was on. Fashion didn't make the run, and that's the problem we have with him when he's playing through the middle. We're maybe thinking he did that from the start in Braga. Have we not learned from that? But this is a whole different ball game for Braga. That was the only thing I could find wrong last night, was going with Sakala through the middle for that last, kind of, what was it, 15 minutes of the game. I thought generally we were absolutely magnificent, because this wasn't. I was anticipating maybe Werder Bremen style thing. If it's going to be backs to the wall, they're dinging it off the bar, or we're kicking it off the line. It wasn't like that.
No,
we stopped them well outside our box, and we bored them to death. We really did. I was also a bit worried. We scored 6 goals over 2 games against Dortmund. RB Leipzig are battered in. I mean, even when they get beat, they get humped 6-3 at Manchester City, but they scored 3 goals at the Etihad. And Kunku got a hat-trick in the Champions League at Etihad. Even Benzema couldn't manage a hat-trick against Man City at the Etihad the other night. They beat Brugge 5-0 over in Belgium. They're fearsome, and we've been scoring goals, a lot of goals, in this run as well. And I was a bit worried, is Gio going to go out there and try and go for a goal fest? And we might end up losing something like 5-3 or something. Which the minute you start losing big numbers, doesn't matter how many you score, it only gets noticed how many you lose. And I thought it's going to, he'll lose a bit of faith amongst the support. But no, he went more a la Walter in 2008. And it was at first you're like, are we going to be able to pull this off? Aye. I thought the thing that was quite weird was we ended up with Lundstrom dropping back into centre half, and by the way, how good was he again? It actually ended up reminding me of Fir Park on Saturday when we went down to 10 men, because you've got the two up front and you've got the three in midfield, and then at half time it was like when he said to Scotty Arfield at Fir Park, no, you're going to have to push up and support they two. They can't play kind of through the middle almost as a pair. They've got to come in off the wide. We need somebody in the centre. Same thing with Aribo, half time last night. The second half he comes out, he pushes up, and we came to life, Colin. Because I thought it was a danger that Domenico Tedesco, who's a cracking manager and a really nice guy as well, he's lovely press conference, he's very complimentary about us. I thought he would have looked at everything that was happening in the first half, totally assessed it, and have given RB Leipzig more options. He'd have worked out something to do, and they'd come down the tunnel second half and they'd fire straight into us. And we've actually done that thing you can sometimes do when you think you've killed the game, your rhythm, your kind of work rate comes down almost mentally. You almost think this is easy, you kind of switch off a bit. But it was us. We pushed Aribo up, we upped the game and we took it to them, and we started playing more like we had in Dortmund, if you like. And to see, I know we only really had that one chance, 49 minutes with Ryan Kent, but just to see what we could do, even Scott Wright, who in the first half, he's getting a hard time online, Scott Wright today on the Twitter sphere, but if he tried to take a touch in the first half last night, he was getting caught. If he tried to lay it off first time, he was hitting it straight to a Red Bull player. It wasn't a great night for him, but the minute Aribo pushed up, even Scott Wright was having the wee 1-2s, and he was getting involved. And we started pushing Tav up as well. The other thing that really cost us, I think, in Braga, away to Braga, was we didn't get Tav involved. And the minute Tav comes up, and then you've got Ryan Jack being as precise and knowing when to go and hitting the ball straight to who they need to go to. And you get Glenn Kamara, who I think a lot of people are writing Glenn Kamara off, but Gio just refuses to get rid of him. Gio just is determined to get something out of Glenn Kamara. He obviously loves him as a player and tries to fit him in anywhere. And he was doing all right last night as well. We really looked threatening, mate. Really looked threatening. That's what happens. You get to the point you're thinking, we could do something here. Things get changed, players get tired, and you end up losing the goal. But I take that all day long against this mob, Colin.
And I mean, on the goal, I mean, there's two sort of frustrating elements about it. One, the timing of it. And two, it should have stood. It wasn't until today that I sort of seen some of the images, and you could argue that the guy's obstructing Alan McGregor, although someone pointed out that McGregor's good for a moan at the referees. If he thinks there's any sort of claim of offside or a free kick or a foul, he's normally the first one in there shouting at the ref. Not really much of a protest from him, but I think if VAR had done its job, there's every chance that goal could have been chopped off.
No, well, VAR should take that off Alan McGregor's back. You know what I mean? There was nobody protesting for the penalty we got in Dortmund. Nobody in the world noticed that except the VAR official. Same maybe with at least one of the two penalties we got at Ibrox against Dortmund and then the Red Star on this run. You're kind of not really knowing what's happening. Remember we all thought the goal that Kamar Roof scored against Brøndby at Ibrox had been in the stadium, thought offside. Even the commentators watching the telly thought it was offside. VAR shows you it's on. So you're right. If it's doing its job, but although I get the whole VAR thing, I know you're really against it, mate, and I'm kind of half and half, But the one thing I've noticed is nobody knows what the hell's going on with how it's been interpreted. There's so many protocols in between how the referee is, it's got to be a really bad decision and all this kind of thing. If VAR is going to overturn it, but other times it seems to be just a wee thing that the referee hasn't even noticed. It's really weird. I think we need to know more, about how it's operating, and it will tighten up hopefully as it goes on, like everything else in football. Remember that we used to have the extra officials behind the goal line.
Aye, what were they all about?
Exactly, and everybody's like, "What did they do?" You know what I mean?
Nothing.
They disappeared. So it's one of these things. If it's not working, they'll get rid of that as well. But I was the same as yourself. I think as Rangers supporters, we're particularly bad for wanting to blame our team. before we blame. We've seen what it's like from our neighbours that will be saying hello to you on Sunday when a team constantly moans that every goal they concede is a conspiracy or something. But no, I was the same as yourself. At first I just thought, Rangers haven't kind of cleared that properly. We've been a bit unlucky. The guys hit a cracker, but looking back at the pictures today, it seems to be, particularly I think it's Andre Silva, the Portuguese international who just come on, cracking striker. He's kind of almost turning around and watching it while kind of simultaneously getting out the way as if he knows exactly where he's standing. But I don't know if it's maybe the angle it's gone at, but for me, generally, I just think, why is that not been pulled up? On the goal itself, I think Ali was having a go at Sands for getting too tight to Nkunku, which half of Europe has done this season. And the corner, at least to the shot that Tyler Adams, the American international, has that McGregor pushes behind for the corner. And then at the corner itself, I think we've just been unfortunate in that it's Fashion Sakala who gets the header. I think if he's let it go or whatever, and he can't let it go in that situation, but I think if it's Lundstrom who was just behind him, or Connor Goldson or Calvin Bassey who get that header, I think they're pushing it out wider. I think Sakala's got the distance right on the clearance, but he's not got the direction right. And even then, this guy Angelino, he usually plays kind of left back or left midfield. Then he's come over to the right hand side and then hit a worldie with his left. Last night I was feeling kind of bitter and I was like, it's not that good a shot. It's just kind of, it's bounced in the box. McGregor should be getting that, but when you see the bodies it comes through, and I think your friend of mine, Stephen Craigan, pointed out, it doesn't actually go above the players' heads. Hey, even the stop clock tells the right time twice a day. He got one right last night.
Well, you know what annoys me about last night?
It goes through the players.
Yeah, he blamed Ryan Kent for that goal.
That's what I'm saying.
He said he was ball watching, and like Ryan Kent's out at he's out at the player that's maybe going to be there for the short corner. The minute the ball goes into the box, Ryan Kent's on the move. At no point is he standing there ball watching. And I don't know what our defensive drills are. I don't remember. We've got defensive drills probably that Ryan Kent's probably supposed to be in a certain place at a certain time. Yeah.
And as I say, Sakala's headed that ball too centrally. And that's been really harsh on Sakala as well. He's nodded the ball out to the edge of the box. That should be good enough. But I think probably Ryan Kent is probably positioned where he should be. And then you've got a left-sided midfielder who's come right across to the right-hand side. Angelino's really fast, so he's probably doing that thing of being the last man who hangs about, in case there's a breakaway from the corner, But he's come out and he's that's probably why he's gone over towards Ryan Kent, because Ryan Kent's the guy most likely to break away for us from a corner. But no, Craigan, he's murder. He's absolutely murder. I think he made a good point in terms of the shot. It goes up high, but not high enough that McGregor can see it above the heads of his defence, so it comes through all these bodies.
Comes through,
It's a difficult one for him.
But as I said, we're still in it, and I'm thinking about this. This could be the most historic night I've been at Ibrox. It's potentially going to be the best night I've ever been at Ibrox. To see your team win a European tie that takes them to the final. I mean, one thing that sort of struck me today, I was like, on this European run, well, that's it. That's our final away tie. We will not be playing a team away in Europe again this season. We've went the full route now. It's all down to one game as to whether we get in the final. And I just think it's going to be immense, really. I just even thinking about it, a couple of times a day working away, and it just boom, it comes in. Christ, I'm going to a European semi-final next week, and if we win, we're in the final.
I know exactly what you mean, mate. I know exactly what you mean. You know yourself, especially when you're a young boy, you first start watching the football. You first start travelling to watch Rangers. You get that thing where you go to an away ground. I remember going to Dens Park in particular for the first time and just being like, I'd seen it so many times in the telly. And I had this image of it, what you see in the telly. And then when you go to Dens Park, the main stand's actually bent at the middle. It's actually, it's too long for the street, so it comes in there. Yeah. But you don't notice that because the cameras are square on it. You don't really see it. And there's always something. Even you go on holiday and let's say you go to Paris for the weekend, the Eiffel Tower, everything really famous. It looks kind of different when you first see it in the flesh. And that's part of the joy. But even, I think, in this run, I'm not going to the away games just now. But watching Rangers on the telly, like that ground last night, it's the old Zentral Stadium. It's been converted and updated. Like the first time I saw it, I remember seeing it when it's done up like that. Was in the 2006 World Cup. The Maxi Rodriguez who ended up at Liverpool scores a wonder goal for Argentina, an extra time winner against Mexico in the 2006 World Cup in Germany. And I think last night, I think all the times I've watched that stadium since Leipzig have started getting into Europe the last few years, you see it on all the highlight shows. It's got that kind of thing, like the first row. The first row is about 6-7 feet in the air. It's a bit like Lochburn Park, Maryhill, you know, or the Prater Stadium, Vienna. And there's that kind of mad corrugated iron cladding thing that's all around the stadium, and you're thinking, I'm now seeing my team. It kind of takes you there. You see it differently. It's like you being there. You're seeing Rangers on that park, and I'm thinking, this is just kind of drinking it in. We're there now. We're part of this kind of ground I see in the telly that's really famous and what have you. We're doing our thing there, and it really changes it. And then today, I'm just going, but it's no about. That's it. That's Leipzig done. Yeah. The next destination is the Sanchez Pizjuan in Seville, and you just get that wee moment. You go, oh Jesus, this is it's mega, and it's a joy, and it's a massive testament to the team and the manager that we're getting through this. It's great fun.
Yeah, I mean, I know April, again, we were talking about this a wee bit last night. You know, April didn't start particularly well. You know, we lost the game to Celtic, and then we lost to Braga, but we negotiated the tie with Braga. We've won all our league games since. We've won the Scottish Cup semi-final, and it just seems like, I noticed Van Bronckhorst today saying in the press conference that he felt his players were in a good place, and that's how it feels. You know, it started off badly, but they've built up momentum, and you know, we are looking at a genuine possibility here that if we get a win on Sunday and then a win on Thursday, we're back in the league. You know, the league's back on. It's still probably a big ask, but it's back on, and we're in a European final.
You started off in this huge month of April, and it was about 3 competitions. And as you say, we're looking, we're almost certainly out of one of them, but not quite. We can still do a bit of damage and have a real say in that. But that's the kind of middle one. You know, the Scottish Cup is less important, although it's massively important to us. We're very much in the driving seat for that, and we're very much in the driving seat for the biggest competition of them all in this Scottish season. We could be in a Europa League final, and it's not just in terms of this season. This would be, you know, getting to the final is the biggest achievement in 14 years in Scottish football. To win it,
you wouldn't know it
is the biggest in 40. Yes, it seems to be a kind of private thing just amongst Rangers supporters. Yeah, that's why we've got to discuss it, mate, because nobody else is bloody mentioned.
Nobody else is. No, it seems to be very quiet. Anyway, right on to Sunday's game, Eck. You know, and as I was saying earlier on, I kind of had to remind myself the day that we're playing Celtic at the weekend. I mean, you know, the last Old Firm game in the Scottish Cup semi-final, you know, you really felt that, you know, a huge game, you felt it. But it feels like there's so much going on now with the European run and on the brink of reaching a European final. This game's just kind of sneaked up on us, and it's like, we're playing them on Sunday, aren't we? You know, and I find that quite odd. You know, normally, you know, Celtic is the pinnacle game. That's the game that we most talk about, but it feels almost secondary at the moment.
Aye, I know. I'm not enjoying this. I'm not liking it at all. You know, because I think a lot of us are. You know, I've seen a lot of stuff. Again, I shouldn't be on Twitter because it's, you know, it gives you a bad impression of the world. But I think there's a lot of guys, and I've been at the other end of this, like working with guys like Celtic supporters. I remember particularly when Walter took over from Paul Le Guen, 2006, 2007, now the second half of the season, and he just straight away beat Celtic at Parkhead, beat them at Ibrox, even though we're well out the title. And I remember sitting with Celtic boys in the canteen at lunchtime giving it, I don't even care what happens at Ibrox on Sunday. I was sitting there reading my paper, and they're like, well, what are you going for then? You know what I mean? Of course you care. It's just going to be mildly annoying, you know, if we beat you when you've already won the league. But you know, you care, you know, and so I don't want to do that thing that I don't care. And I think the one thing that the Celtic game at Hampden proved was that the game before has a massive effect on how you go into the next big game. And this is a problem we now face. You're right. We turned April into a magnificent month, and we had 4 cracking results, I think, including that went under the radar a bit. The 2 league results, beating St Mirren 4-0, and then beating Motherwell 3-1. It's like 50 years since we've scored 4 goals at Paisley. You know, and third part, we know, could be a total graveyard for Rangers.
Especially being down to 10 men as well.
Down to 10 men, mate. They performed really well in that. And the 2 games against, the game against Braga, and then to follow that up the following Sunday with another extra time epic against Celtic, one of the greatest kind of 3-day periods of my entire life, and for a lot of Rangers fans, you'll never. That's immense stuff what they did there. But I think the final reason, we had the players, we had the energy, we had the skill, but the final reason I think that we beat Celtic at Hampden, despite going a goal down like that, was the belief that had been forged in that kind of white hot atmosphere at Ibrox on the Thursday night. It was a faith. I think when Celtic scored, as we've all been saying, they had a brief period where they sang a few songs. But the Rangers support come right back and did not get in their teams back and just kept. And I think there was a lot of faith had been built up on the. So we don't do faith, we do loyalty. Celtic do faith. A lot of loyalty had been built up on the Thursday night, and we've now got this situation where we did lose last night, and I don't know. Surely the players have got to make sure, and the manager, I think that's why he's talking up the fact that the goal was a bit dodgy as well. We've got to go into Sunday, whoever plays, whoever we field, trying our damnedest, because. It's also a kind of bookend. We've been here before, mate. Not quite. Celtic can't actually win the league on Sunday, but by beating us, they all but do. It's we're into ridiculous stuff. And I actually quite like that because it'd be quite annoying. If they've it's the plus 25 goal difference has to be factored in, and they can't actually claim they won the league. But it would be horrible. We've seen what it's like when Gerrard was looking at the job back in May 2018. We get that 5-0 doing the day they actually sealed the title at Parkhead. This is a wee kind of bookend to that, I think. Maybe a bookend to that. Gerrard's away, and we'll see. I'm bored the tits off you with many things that I say all the time, but one of the things that I think that you can judge a team's progress, judge a club's progress as much in their defeats as you can in their victories, And for us to go out there, essentially, we're going to get defeated in the league. We're going to lose this league title. It looks like, but I think the way we do that has a big bearing on how Gio goes into next season. Even just into the way there'll be a Celtic meme. Don't worry, Van Bronckhorst never beat us over 90 minutes. If we don't win on Sunday, or if we, that kind of stuff.
It's 10 in a row with fans now.
Exactly. That's the other one. I don't know how what that does with their 4 treble series they won the last Scottish Cup semi-final and final with no fans in the place, but who knows how they work. And
I don't think there was any fans in the place when the emails were coming in to hand them the title in 2000 and
lifeblood of the game.
20, Aye, an absolute nonsense. As you say, they could technically it would pretty much be a done deal, because we could still catch them in points, I suppose, but the goal difference would be an issue. So if we want the slim chances that we have at sort of retaining this title, requires a win. A squad update. Again, looking at Van Bronckhorst this morning in a wee press conference, he was sort of saying at that particular moment. He didn't think there was any fresh injuries, so he'll have the same squad to select from. But he also did sort of suggest that there would be some rotation, and I think we're at that stage now. 3 huge games, we're going to have to, especially when you consider the injury situation up front. I think so. People like Sakala, Davis, Scotty Arfield, I think you might see them coming in on Saturday.
Aye. Yeah, and I think that's what's happening the last few. I don't know if is it Gio didn't have enough faith in his whole squad, or are members of this squad suddenly realising what they have to do to get Gio's favour. But something's happened from that position we were in Perth a few months ago, where he's making no substitutions, to the situation where we can play Scott Wright and Fashion Sakala up front against Motherwell, and they're basically scoring 2-3 goals between them. They're doing the damage. I know they didn't score the first goal, but Tav scored the penalty. And then Scott Wright didn't have a great game last night, but he is leading the line, in a European semi-final away from him. Yeah. He seems to have the squad seems to get. John Lundstrom's probably is the greatest example. He's a kind of marquee example of a guy that we thought was at the door, and then bang, he's like the best player in Europe. Right now he's phenomenal. So I think we can have a bit more faith in what we think is a first team player. And I think a lot of times we were not actually 100% sure who is first choice for a few positions, and maybe more positions than that would normally be the case for, which is a great thing. But I think we can have a bit more faith in us resting a few players. And the problem we've got is Celtic at home, when they smell blood, they're very good. They're very good at the bullying thing, the kind of fast track bully thing, Celtic. But they're also very bad at. It's a bit like, I think, if when you play 5 sometimes and somebody doesn't turn up, for the opposition, and you have 5 against 4. I don't know how many times I've seen the 4 winning because the 5 are kind of embarrassed. And I think if we can alter the narrative somehow, I think that's what happened a bit like that at Hampden in the semi-final. They're like, this mob are knackered. They've just done extra time. The whole world's seen that, and they all know we've had the whole week off. I think that can have affected them a wee bit, as well as the fact is I think they are actually getting pretty tired.
Yeah.
The team that Postecoglou had at the beginning of the season and the one he bought in January when they got that break, I think the 2 teams are getting a bit tired with his kind of all-out style. So I think we can get under the skin, and maybe if we've got a few first teamers out there, it might actually I would like to think it would maybe put Celtic under a bit of psychological pressure, but they're also bastards when it comes to smelling weakness when it's Rangers. They certainly were in their kind of quadruple treble years. But I'm not too worried. I'm not as worried as I would have been earlier in the season going into this game like this. We're resting a few, and I'll just I'm talking too much. I'll leave it over to you, mate, to tell us who we're going to rest and who we're going to play, what the team's going to be. I mean, I know what it's going to be, but I think you should get a chance to talk, mate.
It's fine. We'll move on. I do think the likes of Scotty Arfield, and I certainly think Stephen Davis will make an appearance because, I think Lundstrom will be there, but I think there's maybe an opportunity to rest somebody like Jack or Kamara, and bring in Davis. So what is it with Steve Davis, Colin? What do you think it is? Is he no being as fit as we think, or is it the physicality? Gio likes him a bit more physical, and Stevie D's a bit more kind of standoff and plays in game. It's weird, Aye. Come on the cup semi-final, it was great, So. Yeah, I think he might make a wee appearance on Sunday. In terms of Celtic's form, I found this quite interesting today when I was looking at it. They've played 34, won 27, drawn 4, lost 3. That's the same amount of defeats as us, which pretty much tells you where the problem's been. The 7 draws have killed us, really. You know what I mean? We've lost the same amount of games as Celtic. It's not the draws. And we're in a sort of bizarre position. If we win on Sunday, we'll have 3 defeats. They'll have 4, yet they're still top of the league. And again, that shows you that the draws have been a killer this year. Aye,
that's the old... the 3 points for a win, still killing us sometimes. You just think Motherwell... It's the 2 Motherwell games at Ibrox are the ones that stand out for me in particular. And you narrow that down to the actual situations, the actual things that you remember what happens. Was it against Hearts that McGregor dropped the ball? Yeah, that was in the last minute equaliser at Ross County. Aberdeen at Ibrox, the 2 Motherwell games that you've mentioned, really, really poor points to drop. Aye, and I think that's what's happening. I think that's when people are saying this is an unsuccessful season. Rangers have really messed this up. We have. Don't get me wrong. I'm as frustrated as anybody else, in immediate terms, and how it's actually happened. Never mind just throwing in the 30-40 million Champions League money. We should be. The players aren't going to go for it any less or any more because there's money at the end of it. They're going for the title. I think when you factor in, I think the fact that Gerrard left as well. We're dropping points while he was here, but we started picking up. I think Gerrard leaving specifically cost us the League Cup. I think it's that one game, that League Cup semi-final, just at the time he left, just before Gio took over, Gio was in the stand or whatever that day. I think that's really messed with the players' heads. There was too much to prove, and we all saw what happened that day, but didn't happen at Hampden. But you've then got Gio having his wee kind of Gio bounce. It took us 6 points clear, and he's responsible for that. He's as responsible for that as he is for chucking the 6 point lead. So we can't get too OTT about it. But I think you then had the defeat at Parkhead and the way it happened, and I think I saw at half time Gio realising, right, I'm taking full control here. Stuff this, being respectful to a team that won the league undefeated last season. I'm just taking that dressing room and you'll do what you're told. And I think that's maybe why he started looking like Huddy's favourites for a wee period, But all in all, what that adds up to is we've been through stuff, Long term, still 2012. You put me onto that Steven Gerrard interview with Gary Neville the other week, and Gerrard was pointing out that just how bad the infrastructure was at Ibrox when he arrived. We've had to rebuild off the park, and that has its effect. But I think just having to change manager this season also has an effect, which caught up with us eventually, and we're now getting the best out of Gio as he gets to know the club and what have you. And it's just so frustrating because it's just that bit too late. Even the Celtic game at Ibrox, Colin, we lose Morelos before that. just as we lost Morelos before the game at Parkhead, because the Columbia, there's been so many wee things that have just gone wrong that can't explain it. And then there's wee things like the way the form of Alan McGregor, I think has been a big thing as well. And I hate saying that about the guy, but the thing he goes against Motherwell at Ibrox and against Ross County away, it's frustrating as hell, mate. And but I don't think we should look. That's why we should stick by the team, because I don't know if Postecoglou is he a one-hit wonder. I'd like to have a go at him again next season and see how long he lasts. Yeah, I mean, we're coming into this game. We've played Celtic 4 times this season. They've won 2, we've won 2. I think we showed a real sort of element of character, something that this team's been accused of lacking, and probably quite rightly so. But I think they gave us it in spades in that semi-final. You saw the character of the team that day to go, extra time again after the extra time on the Thursday night in the Braga game, and to come back when they were 1-0 down. I think it would have been quite easy after Celtic went ahead, because we'd kind of dominated the game up to that point. It would have been quite easy for the players to say, you know what, it's just not happening today. But they dug in, got the result, and it's that type of character and that type of sort of performance we're going to need on Sunday. Yeah, and I think you're bang on. I think there's a strange. I actually still feel this way about the league. I keep thinking this. There's a scene. I've not watched the latest Gaza documentary, but I remember seeing something a few years ago. Gaza talking to Alan Hansen, and Alan Hansen I don't really like as a pundit or whatever, And he was just doing his usual thing. Gaza was still in training. I think he's like 40 odds, and he's saying, the thing is, Alan, I still feel I could play. And Hansen's like that. You can't. No, but Paul, you can't. But that's nice, Alan. Nice. Somebody needs to have a word with him, but do it nicely. You're just giving it. No, defences are crap, and you can't play at this age. Get real, mate. And I feel as if that could be what happened at Hampden when we went to goal. I feel as if it's like this guy's. It's just not happening. It's just not working. I can't give up on the league, and I feel as if I feel as if it's the same as the game at Hampden where we went that goal down, but I just thought, no, we've played so well. I can't give up on this. I don't think we're going to get beat today. And yet we're just going 1-down to a Celtic team that Gio's had problems with the game at Parkhead and the game at Ibrox. But the way we played, and I feel the same way about the league. I can hear Alan Hansen saying, it's byway, Alec, chuck it, it's done. You know what I mean? Don't be stupid. But there's a part of me that just thinks, I can't believe we're not going to win this league, because this Celtic team are very, very, they're really consistent. I'm not going to be cheap about it. But I just feel as if we are better. You know what I mean? The league table doesn't lie. We're not been better in that respect. There's a big part of me it was only on Sunday there when they actually won at Ross County that I thought, I was still thinking they were going to kind of collapse, because it just feels unreal that they're going to win this league, because I feel we are better. And the big worry is what happens in the summer, how they spend the money they get for getting into the Champions League. I'm quite happy with Postecoglou having that money. I think we can bridge that gap if it's him that's spending the money, because I don't know if he can go much beyond just having a lot of mid-range workhorses. Whereas Gio can. Gio's a guy who's played in a World Cup final and won the Champions League as a player. He knows class. He knows how to dig in. But it's really painful, and I just hope we go in there on Sunday and. I would even take. Obviously, I want to win, but I would actually quite like it if they're winning 1-0, and they're getting the flags out and we pop a wee equaliser in injury time just to go. Aye, anyone against them's a good one, Eck. I think we'll call it time there, Eck. We've covered everything. So a big thanks to Eck, as always, for his contribution. We were live tonight. It was a Friday night. But the pod will be available to download and stream on a variety of platforms from tomorrow, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, Spotify, all your usual places. We'll have a show out on Sunday night covering the Celtic game, obviously. It's myself hosting, I think Chris Jack from the Glasgow Times and Joshua Barry from the Rangers Review. They're on, so I'll need to put my best suit on, getting professional people in. So that'll be at 9:30 live on the YouTube on Sunday. Get on that. In the meantime, get yourself onto the Gersnet website and forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. Have a good long weekend, guys, and I'll see you on Sunday night. Bye for now.